Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. Now, I don't know about you, but at the end of a decade, I get a little nostalgic, not a lot, but a little nostalgic about the last 10 years. But by far, I get more excited and more enthused about the next 10 years. Now, personally, over the last 10 years, a lot's happened in my life that's I'm in a totally different, I have a totally different job. I have a family now. I'm still living in the same house, but, overall, my life is totally different than it was 10 years ago. I don't know about you. I'm not speaking about it's for you, but a lot's changed in my life. But, looking at the world as a whole, there's been a lot of really interesting changes over the last 10 years. We're still kind of in the same, we're still dealing with the same problems because we haven't taken the time to solve them yet. We're still putting them off. But, in 2009, Benjamin Creme made this announcement that there would be a quote-unquote star that would start to appear in the sky that would herald the coming of Maitreya. Now, that star was 4 spaceships from our neighboring planets, but it did look like a star. It started showing up in the sky. I started seeing it. It was huge. And there was a little coverage of it in the media, but not much. And I guess there's just too much going in the sky in terms of planes for people really to take notice the way that they did 2,000 years ago. But, you'd look up I would look up in the sky and it'd be this huge, massive star. And people just driving down the interstate like nothing ever happened, and I would see it bouncing around sometimes, changing color. And of course, people were sending pictures to Sharon National, like, it would be a square or a diamond or a triangle shape or whatever. And even the first crop circle for the year of 2009 was in the shape of a star, nonetheless. It's crazy how amazing that was to see this star in the sky. And in a lot of ways, I still see it up in the sky, but it was just, that year, it was just really out there. And it culminated with the Norwegian spiral. Now, I didn't see it on TV when it happened. I actually was talking to my mom on the phone one afternoon, and she was like, "Did you see what happened in Norway last night?" And I was like, "No," right? She started telling me this over the phone, and I couldn't wait to get back to the house and watch it on the, I didn't have a smartphone at the time, but watch it on the computer and on YouTube and stuff, and see exactly what was going on, to watch the news coverage of it. And it just people were going crazy over this thing. And of course, then people started coming out as a failed missile test and so forth. And I get it. That's what people think, it's a way to explain it. I get it, right? Now, I don't buy that, because if you see the videos of a failed missile test, yes, it does spin like that, but it's very erratic, it's loud, and it moves a lot faster. The Norwegian spiral was very slow, it was very controlled, it was very peaceful, and it just kind of opened up. And of course, there was no bomb or missile fragments, near the area and so forth. Nobody reported anything like that, or loud bangs or shimmers or anything like that. And I don't know about you, but when it comes to controversies and conspiracies, right, I always believe the first few hours of something like 9/11, right? I think what really happened in 9/11 is reported in the first few hours of what happened. And then after that, it's all the spin, because it takes them a few hours to kind of come, to kind of cover their tracks and everybody get on the same page of how they're going to spin it. And then in the first hour, a few hours, it's, really what's going on. And so when this happened in the Norwegian spiral, the first reports that came out from the Russians were, we have no clue what it is. We didn't do that. And I have a tendency to believe it, because they always report missile tests, to the United States, because they don't want to inadvertently start a war. So for them just to shoot a missile over one of our allies without telling us, it could be disastrous, right? So they would say, okay, we're going to do a missile test or whatever, but to shoot it over Norway the way that they did, if that was the case, I just don't get it. And then of course they interviewed NATO and the United States, and they had no clue what it was either. And then the next day or two, that's when it was a failed missile test. We knew about it all along. It was reported this way, and I get it. But that's just always been the government's spin on UFOs is they always, no, it doesn't exist. Now, fast forward it to not too long ago, actually in the summertime, there was a little news coverage, not a lot, but I was surprised that there was even this much news coverage on it. But there was some generals, I guess, of different branches of the government, or of the military, that briefed certain members of Congress, and they briefed President Trump on UFO activity, or whether it was going on or not, is what they said. That's kind of like the way they kind of kept it. I don't know about you, but I work for a pretty large company. I have never worked for the government, but I know how bureaucracies work. And very, 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 very few people are dumb enough to stick their neck out about something that, especially in the government, right, in those higher levels of government, and speak on something that doesn't exist. I don't know anybody that would do that. I mean, they would look like fools if they did that. So they had to have known, those military people had to have known that there's still UFO activity going on and that it is actually UFO activity. Now, of course, the president, like every other president, I'm not blaming Trump for this, they all have done this, where they deny it, or they, I don't believe it, or whatever like that. That's just, that's not the case. But who knows what he thinks in public, in private, and then what he's saying in public could be totally different. But even the most liberal of presidents don't even talk about UFOs, or they deny it as well. So they're all kind of doing the same thing, I think. But like I said, for the fact that they actually was this little snippet, in print and also amongst all the like CNN and NBC and Fox even and so forth, for them to come out and just talk about these military men briefing the president and certain members of Congress about UFOs, it really is a tell that there's still something going on. But anyway, now, getting back to the last 10 years, I'm sorry, I kind of digress, but, with the Norwegian spiral, according to Benjamin Creme, that was enough that was needed to awaken the hearts of humanity, so where Maitreya could quietly come out and enter our lives on TV. And up until the point of Benjamin Creme's death in 2016, Maitreya had, started kind of doing a world tour, and it was doing it on quite a regular basis. Every time Share International magazine was published, it was almost like once a week. It seemed like 4 or 5 times a month that he was doing it. So I can't imagine that stopping just because Benjamin Creme passed away. I think he's still out there doing interviews on TV, but of course not claiming to be Maitreya, but just claiming to be one of us. Now, the one thing that people ask a lot is, and it's natural for the people to ask this, so I understand this, they want links or proof that Maitreya is on TV, which I can't give anybody because, for one, I haven't seen him on TV, and 2, if I did, I wouldn't give it to you because it's important for us to discover who and what Maitreya is and what he's saying for ourselves. And more importantly, to want for the world what he wants for the world, which is peace, ending of war forever, and of course, justice for all of us. And then that can only be done through the sharing of the world's resources. Now, the other thing is that the reason why somebody such as myself, who you have no clue who I am, of course, right? I'm just an average Joe, right? Is talking about this is because it's better that way, because it allows you, the listener, to believe it or not on yourself, and to decide for yourself whether this information is true, and to do more research for yourself or not. And if I was somebody of an authority like the President of the United States, or some major celebrity, and I came out and started talking about Maitreya, there'd be a lot of people who would believe it just because of who I am. That's the reason why Maitreya is out on the world stage speaking in the way that he's speaking. So people don't follow what he's saying just because they believe he is the Christ come back, or Maitreya, or the world teacher. And they can just take it for what it is and either believe it or not. Now, getting to the Antichrist conversation again, because I just put up a video, the last video I think I put up was about the Antichrist, right? And Maitreya knows who he is, and Maitreya knows the truth about the Antichrist, and he's not the Antichrist, but if you believe he's the Antichrist, it is your belief or whatever. But when we see Maitreya in person or on TV, they're going to, of course, and he's starting to become more and more popular and more known for who he is. Of course, there's going to be a large segment of society that are going to have a negative reaction to who he is and what he's saying, just like they did 2,000 years ago with Jesus. No different, just on a global scale now. Now, what you'll find is a individual such as Maitreya speaking to the hearts of even to who those people are, loving who they are, because he knows the truth. He knows within the hearts of even people that call him Antichrist are people who want peace, who want justice, who know that we're one family. And it's just a matter of time before we all realize that truth and know it for a fact. But he knows the reactions that people are going to have. But he's still going to love those people just the same as he does to those people who want the changes in the world. Because we're all one family. He is just a brother of ours. He's not a god. He's not a demigod. He's not the only true. I'm not saying that Maitreya is the only true son of God and Jesus isn't, because there is no only true son of God. We are all sons of God. There's no difference between humanity and divinity. We're all divine. It's just the level of which we're manifesting this. So what I'm hoping for and what I think is going to happen over the next 10 years is humanity is going to start to wake up to the fact, because Maitreya is on TV, wake up to the fact that we cannot live the way that we're living. And I think that we're starting to see it now. More people are talking about the need to fix the environment today than they did even 10 years ago. Look at what's happening politically in the United States. The corruption, the greed, the illegal activity of a president is exposed. I don't think Trump's alone in being a corrupt politician. I think a lot of them are corrupt. And it's all starting to come up. It's harder and harder for these politicians to hide who and what they are and their real intentions. Just a little side note. Look at Joe Biden, who I'm not a big Joe Biden fan. I think he stands for the establishment as much as Trump does. There was a gentleman who challenged him in Iowa at this open forum, and he attacked him and belittled him and insulted him just the same way that Trump does to people that attack and challenge him. There's no difference. It's just one's a Democrat and the other one's a Republican, But he acted it was almost like, if you could Photoshop Trump's head over Biden, you would think that was Trump doing the exact same thing. I was very disappointed in it, but that's who Joe Biden is as a person. So that's the reason why I probably never liked him to begin with, but we'll start to see more and more just who and what these politicians are. But I think what's going to happen is over the next 10 years, we're really going to start to make the needed changes that we need to make to save ourselves. And that's why the Masters and Maitreya are here right now, to inspire us to do it ourselves. I hope this helps. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.